And now, time for your JEA Minute.
Hello everyone, I'm Jerry Boyce. If a major storm causes widespread power outages this hurricane season, JEA will go into emergency operations mode and implement our new Restoration 1-2-3 process to restore power as quickly and safely as possible. In Phase 1 of Restoration 1-2-3, we'll repair our plants and facilities and then restore power to local hospitals, shelters, and police and fire stations. During Phase 2 of our Restoration 1-2-3 plan, we encourage customers to call and report their individual power outages. Just as you'd pull over on the highway to let an ambulance pass, you can help save lives by waiting until Phase 2 to report your individual power outage. In Phase 3, we'll complete the power restoration process, targeting those few areas still without power. For more information on JEA storm preparation and power restoration activities, visit JEA.com. I'm Jerry Boyce.
The Florida Keys should be prepared to start feeling the effects of this storm as early as tomorrow night.
Through the last weekend, when everybody was off, we were in here working our way through the storm. As the storm continues to approach, we're continuing to step up our activities and our engagement. And we continue to step up our activities to be able to meet the challenges, obviously, that are coming our way.
We'll be looking for any damaged trees, any down power lines. That'll probably be most of it. Any kind of damage to any of our equipment. So we'll be doing the power lines, substations, water plants, any of our facilities that may have damage. We studied for a couple weeks. It was pretty intense. It was things on there. I felt like I was becoming a real pilot there for a little while.
We left Wednesday morning, so we made 2 stops along the way, once in Nashville and then in Macon, Georgia last night. We're ready to help restore power. We're ready to do whatever you all need us to do.
I really appreciate all the hard work you guys do, especially at a time like this.
We'll run 17-hour shifts. We're working from 3 in the afternoon till 8 the next morning. So we run it all night long.
They're going to be an extension of JEA staff, and they're going to assist in ensuring that all our pump stations are operating like they need to be until power is restored.
We have several teams from the environmental department that have their boots on the ground. As we're out, we're sampling. Our lab is taking on those additional samples so that we can assess those results and ensure that things are back to normal.
As soon as a tropical storm or hurricane has passed, crews from Jack's Fire and Rescue fan out across the city to conduct an initial damage assessment. They do it in part to help the city's Emergency Operations Center get a big picture of the aftermath.
As they're doing these from time to time, they have impassable roads due to power lines, trees that are falling, blocking the roads.
In the past, gaining access to these blocked-in areas was delayed while waiting for JEA, Public Works, or contractors to arrive and remove these big trees, wires, and debris. That changed when JFRD created ERATs, Emergency Road Access Teams, convoys of emergency workers from JSO, JEA, JFRD, and the city's Public Works Department. Traveling together in a convoy makes the process of initial damage assessment safer and more efficient.
And as our initial units are doing their initial damage assessments, once they come to a blockage where they can't get through, they will call for an ERAT team to be dispatched. In the Emergency Operations Center, there's a group there that just takes these calls and they will dispatch or prioritize and dispatch the ERAT teams.
Here's what it looks like when an ERAT team arrives to clear a road. The firefighters who cut the trees are specially trained in tree cutting. It also helps that ERATs are pre-positioned before a storm hits. Jacksonville ERAT teams have evolved since they started in 2008, but it's a concept that's successful because it streamlines the initial damage assessment process and helps speed up hurricane restoration.
We're to the point now that it's almost become a common term, ERAT, and I really think this may become like a national best practice. So I see other cities that will start to kind of form their own teams and do a similar function, because if you can't gain access, we can't really do any good. You guys can't get their lights on, and we can't go in to help the folks.
This year, JEA's Incident Command held Day 3 of its hurricane exercise in a large conference room in a Category 5 rated building. The Incident Command will hunker down here if a storm is severe enough.
And now that we're in a remote location, this is an opportunity for us to exercise what if we aren't able to operate in our normal methods, in our normal buildings with our normal comforts, to really push the envelope to find what are we missing.
As part of this annual exercise, JEA added something new to the mix, a major environmental disaster. In the scenario, a piece of flying metal punctured a diesel storage tank at Kennedy Generating Station, which left diesel fuel leaking into the St. Johns River.
If this were a real situation, which could happen during a hurricane, gray sky, then that would add a layer of complexity on the operations that take place here at the EOC.
Hurricane restoration is a team effort. That's why JEA invited some important players to its 5-day exercise, including the city's Chief of Emergency Preparedness.
And make sure that as a community, we're working together, you're exercising your plans. We're here to talk about what the city does and how we interact and getting everyone prepared for the season.
Preparedness is key. It's the best possible protection against the dangers and discomforts associated with a big storm.
These exercises are such an important piece of our overall preparedness. They allow us to, in real time, exercise scenarios that might come during a storm to make sure our employees are comfortable with the battle rhythm and are comfortable with responding in real time if we were to get hit by a storm.
And now, time for your JEA Minute.
Hello everyone, I'm Brian Pippin. Welcome to a new weekly feature here on the 6 o'clock news called Your JEA Minute. We'd like to take this first JEA Minute to thank you for your patience during Hurricane Irma. That storm challenged the entire state of Florida. We brought in hundreds of mutual aid crews to help us, and those crews told us over and over how nice you were to them. People like Dorothy, who'd been out of power for 6 days and couldn't wait to thank the crews from San Antonio who restored her power. This crew from South Carolina said when they restored power to a street, one homeowner offered to grill them a steak. And this woman in Ortega was so happy when JEA linemen restored her power, she made this sign and put it up on the front of her home. Let's hope we don't have a storm like Irma again for a long time, but if and when we do, we'll work around the clock again to restore your utility services. I'm Brian Pippin, and this has been your JEA Minute.
Good morning, and welcome to my takeover of JEA's Twitter account. My name is Richard Kellogg. I've been a journeyman lineman going on 12 years now. You're going to tag along with me today as I go through some of my day-to-day activities. We got a lot of work to do. We're going to have some fun while we do it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to ask along the way. Let's get rolling. On the way to the next job, I wanted to take a minute and stop and try to explain in simple terms a little bit about power generation and how our distribution system works. Hopefully this will clear up some of the questions you guys may have about why it takes so long or not so long to get your lights back on during a storm. Just to maybe answer any questions you may have. So this is one of our largest substations right here. This is off of St. John's Bluff Avenue. We have all three of our transmission voltages coming into this substation. So if you will, our power generation plants generate a transmission voltage. That transmission voltage is transferred along what we call transmission lines, which are those big poles with the big insulators, dead end bells we call them there. It transfers that voltage into our substation. Our substation then transforms the voltage down again into our distribution voltage, which in this area right here, the distribution voltage is 14,000 volts. From there, it leaves the substation and it travels along what we call our, which are these, which you're used to seeing in your neighborhood. This is our distribution network. Our distribution system runs at 14,000 volts, and then those gray cans, those transformers that are always blowing, people think they're blowing, that's not actually the transformer blowing. It's a short circuit in the system that causes the fuse cutout above the transformer to blow. That's what transfers the voltage from 14,000 volts on the primary distribution system through the transformer into a 120/240 for your residential service. Okay, so here we are. I got that side of the house made up over there. Brand new connections, pipe plated, all meter sealed up, everything's nice and safe. And now here we are, we're up about 40 feet in the air at the transformer location. You can see the transformer down there. Here's two spans of number 2 primary behind us. Those are both 14,760 volts a piece, and I'm going to try to, I don't know if you can hear it or not, but that buzzing, she's hot, she's flowing. I touched on it a little bit earlier, but I wanted to give you a closer up view. So the transformer is connected to a fuse cutout, which goes to an arrestor station, and then that gets tapped up to the primary voltage. For the purposes of this, I'm going to go down there to all those black wires. Here, fly with me. Let's go down there and take a look at that. So this is what we call the secondary position of the pole. So the high voltage flows into that gray transformer, hits some copper windings, and then it flows out to 120 volts on this leg, 120 volts on that leg, and this is your neutral, which balances the load between the two voltages. We're going to be taking these tails right here, which go to that house, and hooking them up. I can't hold the phone and do both things at once, but we'll shoot you a picture of the finished product. Little message from your friendly neighborhood lineman. There's a new state law, the Move Over Law. Now it applies to utility workers also, as you can see from that bumper sticker right there. There it is. My brothers and sisters in the utility industry and everybody that has to work on the side of the road really appreciate this law. But nobody really follows it. That's right, just keep on coming. All these vehicles should be getting over one lane to give us room to work. People, we have families and friends that we want to go home to. Please give us room to work. Okay, folks, I'm out of here. It's time for me to go home. I hope you enjoyed JEA's first ever Twitter takeover. I had a blast doing it, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, let them know. Maybe they'll find some more fun and interesting people for you guys to follow around and y'all can ask questions for. That's all I got. Richard Kellogg signing out. Y'all have a great evening. Be careful out there. So another question we get a lot of is, why did my lights stay off and my neighbors came back on? So I tried to find a way to illustrate that for you. This is not always the case, but this does happen at times. So here you can see we have a pole in the middle, and the house on the left is fed from that primary over there, which is a completely different feed from that house, which is fed from that primary over there behind that ginormous oak tree. So here's a good example of how we can turn on, 600 or 700 people in that area, and then right across the street, or even on the same road, these next door neighbors, one could have lights and the other one couldn't, just due to the way that we had to break up the load and distribute the wires through this neighborhood. Another problem can be, especially if we have large trees like this in the way, that can sometimes dictate the way we run our overhead primary service. So just trying to explain to you how come sometimes your neighbor's lights may come on and yours may not.